Recently, I have had 3 different interviews, and based on the fallout of those interviews, I am really starting to believe that I may never find a job ever again. And just some backstory in case you're new here. I am 40 years old, so that could be contributing to maybe some ageism, I don't know, less than ideal feelings about hiring someone my age, because it seems like many of these corporations want to hire someone who are in their 20s, earlier on in their career, at least someone with not enough experience to demand, I guess, a living wage in this economy with the prices of everything else. Also, I have an MBA, and that was one of my biggest videos of all time that just came out a couple weeks ago, talking about that and my whole story and history. And I understand a lot of people will say to dumb down your resume, but for me that's always been, well, if I want to get like a warehouse job or like some basic entry-level job that really doesn't pay the bills, I can dumb it down, but not for the jobs that I'm looking for. I don't need to be putting away $10,000 in cash a month or anything like that, but I do need a job that allows me to pay all my bills, have rent in a place that's not super dangerous, and have a decent amount of room for my family. I'm not talking about a mansion or anything like that, but even a 1-2 bedroom apartment, something that will pay those bills, which is unfortunately a lot higher than it should be based off of the average salaries these days of these jobs. At my age, I have over 10 years of experience, so some companies also might be concerned that I'm stuck in my ways, that I just want to do things a certain way, I'm not teachable, I'm not moldable, or it could just be back to the fact that they know that I want to get a living wage in this economy, which is much higher than the salary that they want to offer. They want you to work probably multiple jobs to make ends meet, and they'll do everything they can. It seems like a lot of these jobs do not even pay you benefits. So it's a really tough position for the average American looking for a brand new job these days. So the first role I want to talk about was a completely remote role, and it had a lot of potential. It wasn't exactly in the industry that I've been working in. So without giving too specifics, most of my experience is around IT leadership, either for projects or products and things of that nature, gathering requirements, all that kind of stuff. So this was basically like a product manager kind of role, fully remote. The top end of the salary range that they listed all sounded really good. So the first red flag, not that we're not human, not that we can't get sick, but I had an interview scheduled probably a month ago at this point, and it was for, let's say, 11:30 a.m. And at 11:20 a.m., so whatever the interview time was, 10 minutes before that, I got an email saying that, hey, I'm sick, I can't make it in, and we need to reschedule. And this company is actually based out of California, so she was supposed to originally reschedule the interview for 10 a.m. Pacific time, but that Friday she sent me a new email invitation for the next meeting time at 10 a.m. Eastern time, which I'm okay, I can meet at any time, but that would be her 7 a.m., which is not probably what she wanted to do. So when that second interview, or I guess the rescheduled first interview, came around about 10 minutes before that one, because I think they were just sick on Friday, and I guess they were sick on Monday, so maybe this was a Tuesday. So about 9:50, so 10 minutes before that was gonna start, I got an email notification, oh, okay, it's been pushed to, the proper time, 10 a.m. Pacific. So on that Friday that she had to reschedule, I said, hey, it looks like you maybe accidentally set it up for the wrong time zone, but I didn't hear anything back on Friday or on Monday. I had to just be ready on Tuesday for this video call or this phone call. So I had to be ready on that Tuesday for the phone call, just in case she happened to wake up at 7 a.m. and call me, but that didn't happen. So first one supposed to be Friday, and then rescheduled to Tuesday at 10, and then the third scheduling of this initial recruiter or talent acquisition specialist phone call that Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. So didn't get off to a great start. So even with all of the rescheduling, I was still very much prepared. I had my whole spiel, intro, whatever you want to call it, about my background, why I'm a good fit, why I wanted to work at the company, and what I knew about the company. Unfortunately, I never got that whole tell me about yourself or anything like that. It was like a very structured, I'm here to check off boxes. I need to go through each and every job that you've ever done. Okay, when did you work here? What was your title? And why did you want to leave? Everything was like, why did you leave this company? Why did you leave this company? So I wasn't able to tell my full career story. It was like very structured into what the information that she just needed to get for the hiring manager. I did the best I could, but I definitely couldn't go through everything that I wanted to go through because she was leading it. There wasn't any flexibility. There was no conversation, no repartee, nothing like that. It was like, hey, we're gonna just go through your resume one company at a time, and I'm asking all the questions, and I definitely didn't get to deliver the goodies of all the things that I wanted to share in that interview. So this was a situation of me not being completely surprised that I didn't advance into this process, unfortunately. But I did receive an email about 3 weeks later. This is the first communication I got since that interview. And it was quite interesting, the response I got. Not just, you did a terrible job, which I guess I would have expected, but here's what I got. Thank you for your interest in this role at this company. We wanted to let you know that the hiring process for this position is currently on hold. We value your time and the effort you put into your application. If the position reopens, we will contact you if you're selected to move forward in the selection process. Thank you for your patience and understanding. So it wasn't even a matter of, oh, Dodo, you really screwed the pooch on this one. It was a matter of, we wanted to let you know that the hiring process is currently on hold. What the heck does that mean? How do you get approval for a job? How do you have job description that you go over and speak to all these people, and then it's just on hold? Some of the conspiracy theories that I've heard in the past couple of months would be things like, well, they had an internal candidate anyways, and they just needed to go through the motion, say, hey, yeah, we interviewed this person or that person, and they weren't a good fit or whatever, so we're going to hire an internal candidate. That could be one option. Another option is that they were never going to hire anyone in the first place, and this is just part of our fake metrics that we have going around, where the company tells the government, oh, we're hiring, or we did hire, or we're in the process of hiring 200 people, and then they're like, oh, okay, well, we interviewed this person. They have all the proof, all the paperwork that shows that they went through the interview process, and then that gets to count towards the government numbers of how many jobs are created, which are never true, right? That 4.3% unemployment rate is a complete sham. But these are the ways in which companies can fake that they are hiring even though they're really not. What do you think? Let me know in the comments, what do you think about a company that goes through the interview process and then says that their jobs are on hold? The second interview experience was really weird because, and I could have communicated this better, this is definitely a lessons learned, but this company was also fully remote, and there was two different recent options that I saw. And one was something that I don't think was a great fit. One was a pretty good fit for my background. So I went through this whole interview process, and when I got the email that there was going to be an interview, it didn't say anything about the position. During the process, during the actual interview, he didn't mention what the actual position was. So it was really weird. I had to do some gymnastics and some sorcery to kind of get him to say what the name of the position was. So it was really a very weird interview. And even though it's remote, that's good. It was still the lowest salary out of everything that I've interviewed for so far. So between maybe not the best communication both ways, the lowest payout there, I'm okay that it didn't work out. And I was looking at Glassdoor, and a lot of people said that they had that first interview and they were ghosted. Like, I did that research before I had the interview, so I'm like, well, I'm expecting not to hear back no matter how good this interview goes anyways. But at least, once again, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks later, I got the email saying, hey, we decided to go in another direction. At least that's not putting the job on hold, so that's some progress. And he gave me his LinkedIn and said, hey, let's connect. He said, let's stay connected on LinkedIn in case there's another opportunity that opens, which I wish he would have been really interviewing me for the position that was just like 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks before that interview. That was a really good fit, but he was apparently calling me about the job. I looked at it later. That was not a great fit, and it was from like 2 months ago. So I guess I applied to this job on a role that wasn't a great fit, which isn't my bad anyways. But there was a secondary position that was a really good fit, and I guess I thought he was calling me about that because I don't have like a comprehensive list of everything I applied to anymore. I stopped doing that after about 2,000 applies. It's just like, this is not good for my mental health. So I stopped tracking it. But that's the first time in like the history of my entire career that I've had that much communication and they never said what the actual role is. And I kept waiting to ask because, I've always heard, oh, this role is blah, blah, blah. This is the title. And we're like halfway through his spiel, but he was all telling me about like the benefits and like the company, but he never really told me what the role was. So I guess I waited too long, but that's okay. Like I said, it was the lowest paying job anyways, and at least I didn't get ghosted. So there's some positive news there. The third interview was for a hybrid position in a big city not too far from where I'm staying right now. It was interesting because in the job posting it says hybrid, but when I got to the interview she said, oh well, it'll be in person at least 3 days a week. She never said 3 days. She never said 4 days. She said at least 3 days a week, which I feel like would start off work from home, not even remote, because you can't be that far from the office if you have to go in at least 3 days a week. So at least 3 days a week, which probably means it starts off you have to go in the office 3 days a week, and then eventually you're at 4 days a week, and then you're at 5 days a week, and then you're lucky if you ever get to work from home. I feel like that's how that game goes. And she was really excited about these benefits. It's like that meme where someone is at an interview and they say, oh, tell me about this company. And then the interviewer says, well, there's pros and cons about working here. For instance, we have a pizza party every Friday and a once a month ice cream social. We have tons of team building activities. And the person being interviewed says, okay, great. Then what are the pros, right? Because not everybody wants all that stuff. But she was very happy to tell me about the coffee station. That's, I think, once a month. The food truck or the free food that comes in every Thursday, and all these different perks that really result in you never leaving the office. So that just means you're not gonna have a lunch break. You can't go run errands, can't go out and get food on your own. Like, you're going to be stuck at that office. Plus, she said it's a work hard, play hard culture, which means that you're going to be working nonstop. But because there is coffee and sandwiches and all this stuff, I guess that's playing hard. I mean, I would like to play hard in my personal life. So let me do the work that is assigned. Let me do it really well. Then let me determine what my play schedule is. You can determine my work schedule. That's fair. And then she said, even though you're going to be a leader here, it's like a lot of, people get distracted and got to bring them back to reality, refocus them. And then she also spent like 10 minutes talking about the local sports team, which is, nice to build rapport, but like, we only got 30 minutes in this interview. This is not the time to chit chat about sports. We really need to talk about the actual position. So didn't hear much about the actual position in the interview with the HR person. It was mostly about the local football team and the food and the coffee that you get. And she also said that she built the entire team as far as like hiring everybody. And I looked at her LinkedIn and she's only been there 3 years. So it means everyone's a brand new person. She also mentioned that one of her best friends works in this department. So she's there all the time. So there were more red flags than a beach during a hurricane. So it probably wasn't going to work out anyways. But about 3 weeks after that interview, I got my first response or first messaging from them. And it was in form of an email. And let me read some of this to you. Thank you for your interest in the role at this company. We truly appreciate the time and effort you took to apply and your enthusiasm for joining our team. I wanted to share a quick update. The position was recently shifted from a full-time opportunity to a contract role, which has changed how we're moving forward with the search. I sincerely apologize for any inconvenience this may cause, as we understand this may not align with what you originally applied for. We truly value and interest in this company and encourage you to explore future opportunities with us. You can visit our career page and sign up for job alerts to stay informed about openings that align with your experience and career goals. So I told someone basically what happened in this email, and they're like, oh, okay, so they're just going to see if you want to do it as a contract basis now. I'm like, no, this means that I'm out of the race. Probably everybody's out of the race, and they might reevaluate things, who knows, in a couple weeks, a couple of months. So we had the one that just put the position on hold. One actually got back to me, and then this third one said now it's not a full-time opportunity anymore. It is a contract role. So you're gonna hire someone on a contract basis, right? Pay them hourly pay for them to sip coffee, to eat out of a food truck, to just waste time in meetings. That doesn't sound like a good use of your resources. So obviously, if they're looking to go from full-time to part-time, that means that they don't want to pay benefits, right? They don't want to allocate the amount to give people health insurance, paid time off, all that kind of stuff. Because with a contractor, if you don't work, you don't get paid. And obviously you have to figure out your own health care and insurance and all that kind of stuff. Now, if they go through a staffing firm, some staffing, I don't know if all, but at least some staffing companies will provide you at a terrible rate, insurance and benefits and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. But once again, how do you get approved to post this position, to interview for this position, and then all of a sudden now, I didn't ask for a crazy salary. We didn't even talk about salary. So it can't be like, oh, everyone I talk to wants $30,000 more than the posting states, because the posting didn't state anything. And no one has any idea how much they're even going to offer for this position. And so we really don't know. I don't understand why or how they made the decision to go from full-time to part-time based off of the fact that they didn't list a salary. I didn't ask particularly for a salary because it's the first interview. I would think that they would bring that up. That's kind of an important thing before you move forward, at least a range. So I don't know, but let me know what you think. Have you experienced these things? Let me know down in the comments below. Have you had a job that was put on pause, that went from full-time to part-time? Are you just getting completely ghosted? Are you not getting interviews at all? Let me know your experience with this job market down in the comments below. And until next time, remember, times are tough, but so are you. Talk to you later.